Let's have a quick look at the training chart plotter and give an overview of the buttons and functions that are available to you. It's quite a clean display and it's driven by cursor, and the most visible controls are across the top here, and the man overboard and track log will be covered in a different session. Anchoring, this will turn on or off the detailed layer, so you can see at the moment you've got spot depths around the chart, and anchor mode makes it quite clean, and it just highlights that you do have layers in these sort of charts, but doesn't make it too complicated. Undo and redo will undo and redo any action, just as it does in things like Microsoft Office, that you do something you didn't want to do, you can undo it or redo it. Perhaps the most useful drop down is this one, where you have a lot of functions within there. Now each one of these is covered in a separate video, so we have a video about a route monitor, but that's essentially a method of using a simulation of you executing a passage. I'll just close that down there. We have raster charts, so you have the ability to view raster charts, and there's a whole video on how they work. You can also close them from within that menu as well. Install charts and information about what charts are available is here. So this plotter has both the north and south charts, and if you double click on any one of these it will take you that particular chart. So we could go down to the southern area, chart 5, like that, and then we're in the southern area. If I put my cursor there, you'll see that the latitude and longitude is the southern latitude that you've got. Close that down. Quite a handy feature on here is these hidden buttons. One of them is a go back or forward, and if I click go back, that will take me to where I was immediately before I moved. That's quite a handy one to take you back in terms of the physical location on the chart where you were. Chart information, that opens the window there, and that gives you all sorts of information relating to the chart. So for example, in here there's an area of between 10 and 20 meters, and if I highlight that, that shows you the area of 10 and 20 meters, and I'll click that green to get rid of that. There's also quality of data, which tells you that the zone of confidence is B, and you can click into that and see, if I scroll down, what that actually means. So you get a feel for, it's equivalent to what you'd see in a paper chart in terms of your survey data. And I'll just go back. You can actually show that on the chart as well, in the quality of data. And there you go, so it shows around the chart, all that area green is that quality of data. And you can remove that by doing that, clicking the green button. Searching for places is very useful. I'll just open that up now. You see there that I've searched for Namly, and Namly's come up, and it's got all these red icons around here. If I click on one, you see that it's flashing, and on the left hand side there it's actually highlighted grey. So I've moved my cursor too early. It's highlighted grey there, that's the Namly channel. If I go to this one there, zoom in a bit, there he is, that's Namly bar. Interestingly, if the area you're searching for isn't in view, the result won't show up. So if you are searching for something and it's not in view, try zooming out, and we'll talk about zooming shortly, for you to find the thing you're looking for. Another function within here is overlays. Now this basically comes down to anything that you draw on the chart will appear as an overlay. So if I right click and draw a line, there it is, and it appears there in an overlay. And you can see I've got some folders in here with some pre-designed overlays in there, which are greyed out in many cases, and we'll cover the use of overlays in more detail in an overlays in the chart work and overlays video. I'll just delete that and close that down. And then the last window that you can open is a support center, which will tell you what version of the plot you've got, and if there's an upgrade, that will tell you there's an upgrade. And perhaps most useful for the plotter are the help pages down the bottom. They've got the standard help pages, which tells you how to do most of the functions, and there's also a forum where you can pose a question, and you may find other people have asked the same question that you are, so those are two useful resources. The last bit is exit, which just closes the software. In addition to these, you've got these hidden buttons. Now we've already used one in terms of the forward and back buttons over here. Now these ones, as you can see when you hover over them, you've got make a route, make a line, make an area, or make a point. So just simply, if I said I wanted to draw a line, if I click that I have a pencil, and if I wanted to draw a line for argument's sake from this boy here, I've left click and I move across to this boy here, left click again, I've got a line which I can do all manner of things with. I can drag it around, I can modify it. It gives you a length for the line and some bearings at each end for whichever you're going. I'm just going to delete that one now. So because it's highlighted, I'm just going to press the delete key. Now, in addition to this, you can actually use the mouse to get into these functions, and to be honest, that is a much better way of doing it. And right click will give you a context menu. So to do that line we just drew using the mouse, I right click when I'm on the boy and I pick line, and then I go to the boy I want to go to, which I think was that one, and there you go, left click again, and there we are, we've got it. Right clicking again, I can change the line type now, so I could actually make it a bearing, so it's got an arrow on the end. Now it's one of those, I can right click it, there's also, I can reverse it, so there's all sorts of context menus come in. I can right click, delete, and using these plotting functions here or with the mouse are covered in a little bit more detail in a chart work video. Now over on the right hand side you have a few other, I'm just going to drag over there a little bit, some other functions. You've got the zoom in and out, which is quite straightforward, but it's probably easier, and I do prefer using the mouse. If you've got a scrolling wheel on your mouse, then just doing that will zoom in and out. So I'm just scrolling now with my mouse. A nice thing about that is that it will centre on where you actually have the mouse. So I've got a mouse over on the left hand side here. If I start zooming in here, it zooms in on that point. So it keeps that where your mouse is in view. Even if you go to an extreme right on the side of the chart there, where your mouse stays in view. So that's quite helpful. This heading sensor that orientates the chart. At the moment it's north up, and if I put the mouse until it's highlighted, and then I'm holding my left mouse button and just rotating, and I can rotate the chart to wherever I want. Or if I release it at that angle and I zoom in, you can see that all the numbers are orientated, all the names are orientated, so you can read them correctly. And that can be handy if you want to orientate your chart to where you're looking. So whatever is on your starboard side is on the right hand side of the chart as you're looking at it. This function here, center the bottom view, that's covered in a video relating to the route monitor, and that's when that comes into play. You can also customize some of your units. So down here you have 3 different sets of units you can change. There's the depth unit, which you can change between meters and feet. There's the distance that can change from the default, which is nautical miles and meters, to nautical miles and yards, statute miles and yards, or kilometers and meters. I'm going to go back to the original. Over to the side here you've got another scale, so you've got a linear scale to give you an idea of distance, and you've also got the chart scale. If I just zoom in here a little bit more, you can see that linear scale changes, and also the chart scale changes until I get to this point where it says 1.2. That means it's 1.2 times zoomed in beyond what the data is designed for. So the higher that times number is the more over zoomed you are. This area here of the chart, for example, is quite a detailed area of the chart, and as I go in there, that's 1 to 40,000. That's still within the detail of the chart. It's only when I get down to that level, I'm now just going beyond where the detail of the chart is going to increase as I zoom in. Now just looking at the side there, I just want to demonstrate that I wasn't kidding earlier on about changing the unit. So that's 2 miles in terms of nautical miles. That's now miles in terms of statute miles, and that's now kilometres. And the final unit here is the way the positions, the latitude and longitude is shown. This is set at the moment to degrees, minutes and seconds. So you can see if I put the cursor onto the screen, you've got 46 degrees 12 minutes 42 seconds north for South Douglas Island there. And if I click it to the other unit, which is the more standard unit, degrees, minutes and decimals of minutes, if I put that onto the chart, you can see that now comes out as 46 12.39 minutes north for South Douglas Island there.